Joining the podcast now is Rod Boone, a veteran NBA writer. He's the author, creator of the Hive Vibes newsletter. Rod, how you doing?
I'm doing great today. How you doing, Sam?
I'm doing well. I'm glad you can kick it with us and hop on the podcast. And it's a fun day to do it, you know? It's a very big day.
Absolutely. Trade deadline day, man. A lot of madness happening. You know, the Hornets didn't do too much, but I think it was expected because the team they have right now, and with them not trying to get rid of their assets for the future, you didn't think they would go out there and try to do anything crazy. So knowing Mitch Kupchak, he kind of plays his hand the way he usually does.
Yeah, so basically, the Hornets have left deadline day with Brad Wanamaker, a veteran point guard. Well, is veteran fair? Like, it's a weird one. He's a lot of experience, right? He's played overseas. Probably 3 seasons in the NBA, but established professional player at the very least, right? Can you talk about that deal and what that would bring to the Hornets?
I guess if anything else, it gives them depth, obviously, the position, because even though they have a lot of guards, with LaMelo getting injured and him probably being out for the season the way it looks right now, the Hornets are going to be a playoff team. You have to be able to have depth at the position. So I guess they figured the number was good for them. Whatever they had to get to acquire him wasn't too much, it looks like. So I guess from the Hornets' perspective, it's just an insurance policy to just make sure you're protected in case something else happens injury-wise.
That all makes sense. I'm quite sure that's what Mitch and probably was thinking. I was, my thinking, of course, with Melo going down, I know they needed. It was a need in that area, along with Devontae coming back and being able to have him in the lineup and still having somebody able to come off the bench to give him and relieve him at, during some point of time. But I thought they probably would address the center position in some kind of regards to, because of the nature of where they are and what they have been doing thus far. No discredit from Cody or Bismack, what they've done thus far. But I think in terms of the rim protection, getting into that early transition game, what they love to do, especially with a guy like Melo, would have been a concern or been an interest.
I agree with you there, Muggsy, because the Hornets, let's be honest, again, Cody and Bismack are 2 really good guys, man, but they don't feel the need in terms of trying to be a playoff team. They said to be up-tempo, play a point guard in the pick and roll, because you have to have those nice, soft hands as a big man with LaMelo Ball. He passes the ball like most point guards. Sometimes we're even watching the ball coming, he's making sure you're going to have it in your hands. You got to have your hands at all times ready. And if you don't have great hands as a center, it's not going to work for you. So I agree. I thought they would address that position. But knowing Mitch Kupchak, the asking price is probably too high for his liking. They may have said, I want a first-round draft or give me 2 second-round draft picks. So knowing him, he probably say, you know what, I don't want to do that because I want to protect my assets for the future. But I agree with you. I think they probably should have if the price was right, though.
But I know they had a lot of assets to offer anyone, with Malik Monk and as well as Devontae Graham, his situation, and so forth. But me and knowing Mitch, and I'd see where he was looking and where he really paid the really true concerns and addressed that issue with Melo being out and not having, uncertainty not being able to come back, especially with this run that they're on. I think a guy like Wanamaker really, really feels that need and gives Devontae that cushion to be able to go out there and continue to be the player that he is.
Yeah, I think that's the real benefit of it, right? Because I know I see it. I have people talking to me about, they're bummed out that he's a point guard, another guard, an older player. He'll be the oldest player on the team when he joins up. It's not very exciting, but for Hornets fans, I would say, look at the bigger picture. The team is playing very well, and you have to balance that risk versus reward, right? You bring a new player in, you're at risking, and you're trading players out, you're risking disrupting the chemistry of the team because the team is performing well. What if you make a trade and the team dips and it doesn't work out? And so largely, I'm pretty okay as a Hornets fan with the Hornets not making that big move because realistically, what move could they make to really make an impact now? The Nets are too far gone, right? The Sixers are too far gone. The West is a whole different story. So I'm kind of cool with the Hornets kind of standing pat, playing the long game, And hopefully, the offseason's coming up. Maybe they can do something then. And I don't, Rod, is there anything you think the Hornets will address in the offseason, that center position? Like a guy like Rashawn Holmes, maybe he'll be a free agent. Drummond will be out there as a free agent. Is there anything you're thinking the Hornets can like pull the trigger on maybe to fortify the center position this summer?
I mean, they're definitely going to have to address it because it's a need. Bismack Biyombo came back on a 1-year deal. Cody is up. So you have to kind of find a way to get younger and athletic at that position. So I can see him going out and looking at the free agent market and see if they can find somebody in that route. But it could also be the draft. They may say our first round draft pick this year may be a big man who we know we can definitely groom, who can be somebody we can count on for years to come. So I definitely see them just in that position for sure. Do you mention like Malik Monk? Like, what do you do with him? You're going to resign him. He's obviously a restricted free agent, so you kind of can match things if he goes out there and gets different deals. But what number is he at? Like, what value do you see in Malik Monk right now? So I think that's also part of the reason why he probably was not traded, because with LaMelo getting hurt, now you have smaller numbers on your bench. Malik Monk's role has increased now to be more of a 6th, 7th man type of guy. So if you got rid of him potentially for somebody else, how would you kind of fix that hole? So I think they have a decision to make for sure this offseason. But to me, top of the list is finding a big man to kind of pair with Melo to kind of help complement his game out there on the floor.
Well, I'm going to throw a name out there for you. What about John Collins?
I like it.
Does he fit into the budget? As you know, Muggsy, it always comes down to economics.
That's what it's gonna have to be. You're gonna have to pay in order to, put yourself in this situation in order to get those type of players like that. So that's just a name I just threw out there, a conversation that we've been having, behind the scenes. And I think a guy like that, along with the core we have, and I'm a Malik fan. I love Malik and I love what he's done. And I believe Malik is going to go out and be a really, really, solid player going forward. What that cost may be, who knows? But that's a decision they're going to have to make. But a guy that's out there that piques my interest, is a John Collins.
And for me, I would love Miles Turner, not going to lie. He's 24 years old. Yeah, he's 24 years old. He can block.
How old is John Collins?
What's that?
How old is John Collins?
Is he 21?
20. He's 20, what, 24? 24?
Younger than Miles Turner, right? So
he's younger than Miles Turner. And I think
23.
And a more explosive player than Miles Turner. He brings more to the table in terms of inside, outside, both ends of the floor.
Now that would be an interesting move because obviously he's playing for the Hawks. So that's a division rival. So you know how that goes. Like you go to your division rival, right? Like how does that work?
Well, they let him become a free agent after the end of the season. So obviously something there wasn't there, in terms of them letting him be in this position. So that's interesting to me.
It seemed there's some reports about him having some friction with Trae Young. I don't think that relationship is like ruined or anything like that. Maybe they can rectify it, figure that stuff out. Because since Nate McMillan's been in there, they've been winning. They've been winning a lot of games. They had like 8-game win streak at one point, right? Before they lost the last two.
It's
They're one of the highest teams in the league right now, man.
They were. Lost to Sacramento last night, which is sad. A sad thing, but
yeah. So for Hornets fans out there that were maybe disappointed in the trade deadline, specifically March 25th, it's not the end of the world. There's a whole off season ahead of us, right? And the whole next season to figure stuff out. And you might restrict free agents like Malik, maybe there's sign and trade possibilities as well. Like there's tools to leverage to help round the roster out looking into next year.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes as fans, they kind of get caught up in the trade deadline itself saying, oh, well, if we don't make that move by X date, we can't improve our team. So as you mentioned, there's two ways to improve the team from now until, to basically off season. That's first the buyout market. You hope you can find somebody who maybe another team didn't think was helping them out. They want to go a different direction, and you find them and give them some playing time and have them come help you out. But you're right. The other way is to just say, okay, come the off season, we're going to basically regroup and reset our market because you'll see trades come draft night. And we know how that works because teams are trying to essentially get ready for the next fiscal year in the NBA. So I can see the Hornets essentially saying, you know what, all right, the pieces we have right now, they're good, but if we want to get to the next level, we got to take some of them and kind of figure out how to move a piece or two and bring back something back in return, as you're saying. So I can see them making a trade or two in the offseason. The players you mentioned, I mean, even Terry Rozier's even one. Terry Rozier being the final year of his contract next year. Remember, people thought he was overpaid. He was getting that big contract, and fans were up in arms. Well, now he's actually one of the most valuable players on the team and the roster. So he could bring you back value if you foresee yourself building around LaMelo and Devontae instead of throwing Terry in there. So I could see him going a number of ways this offseason. Yeah.
I mean, Devontae and Melo, I mean, that's point guards. Terry Rozier brings a whole dynamic to the ballgame, which they really need a guy like that, in terms of being able to create his own shot, take the pressure off of those guys. And the familiarity of him and Gordon Hayward has been really stellar in terms of seeing the connection them two having. So and that's something that they're going to have to address about Rozier, because a guy like him, he really, and he's a vet. He's understanding. He's been around it. And for a guy like that to be around a guy like Melo, which Melo loves playing with him, you can tell, the joy that they have out there. It creates that chemistry and it builds that core that they have. And it'd be sad to see that kind of, go away so early, where you can kind of explore that and add on to that to be able to be the team that you're trying to be.
Real quick, do you think LaMelo gets Rookie of the Year?
You know what?
I think he played enough games.
I had him. I mean, of course, we all had him Rookie of the Year, and I told everybody this young kid, Edwards, is starting to learn the game. He's starting to understand his game, and it's starting to slow down for him. His kid had 40 points the other night. And his ability to score the basketball is really becoming something impressive. And he reminds me of an aggressive D Wade, in the terms of the skill set. But I still Bleav, Melo has played enough, but it all depends on now what Edwards, how he finish it out in a dynamic way. Got to be in a dynamic way. It just can't be, he missed here and there. Got to be in a dynamic way, because Melo showed enough that we're across the board from all standpoints that, he deserved that award.
Yeah, I mean, I think he deserves it too. I agree with you. It just depends on if the voters forget about what he's done. Because if Anthony Edwards goes out there, James Wiseman, somebody has a great second half of the season, games that are remaining for them, that's going to be more in the voters' mind and say, you know what, this guy played better than LaMelo for a longer period of stretch, so I'm going to give him the award. So LaMelo deserves it, hands down, but, it depends on the voters and just what they think about his injury, if it was enough to kind of give him the award games-wise.
And that's what I'm saying. It depends. These guys got to have a dynamic second half. It can't just be these type of games, because, it's going to stand out. And that's why I say, the Wiseman, he really got to have a big second half in order for that, because he went to the bench. And Edwards, he got an opportunity. He got an opportunity. The window is very small, but he got an opportunity, because he can really, the second half, if he start putting up those numbers, of course, as you just said, Rob, that's what everybody gonna remember, and that's where everybody gonna go by. But it got to be a fantastic dynamic way, because people still got that Melo in their thought process.
Well, Rod, thank you so much for joining us for this podcast. Rod, do you want to plug anything before we say goodbye?
Yeah, my website is High Vibes. You can go to my Twitter feed, which is at Rod Boone, at RODBOONE. I have a link to kind of sign up for the newsletter. It comes right to your inbox as soon as I type the stuff out and hit the send button. So check me out there. Check me out on Twitter, where I'm obviously talking about the game and interviews and stuff like that. So that's pretty much it.
All right, brother. I appreciate it. And Muggsy, as always. Cheers.
Appreciate
it, brother. Appreciate it.
Anytime.
Take care.